Yeah, so we back. Calling this still. Ableton is all you need. Episode 2. So last episode we did importation, we did the chopping up of the samples. We got them into this session here. So now I'm not gonna say much. But what I will be doing next, we're gonna be renaming all of the clips according to the parts of the songs that are there. And once we finish with that, just go recap again exactly what I did. If I feel I do anything like fancy or quick, I might actually pause to explain why it is that I did or why I did it. So you're just gonna see me walking through this section here. Not much talking really through this area.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Super K, Mr. Vick, it's a dirty man who we play. Not the crazy people them there. All you behave, not behave. Them say to break it down, they go break it down. Thinking fed, put it on the ground. We don't have no other. We don't. Super K, Mr. Vick, it's a dirty man who we play. Not the crazy people them there. All you behave, not behave.
Right, so we did the labeling of the scenes on the master channel there. What that would allow us to be able to do is know exactly where we jump into. So if we decide to perform it like this, where we do.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Super K, Mr. Vick, it's a dirty man who we play. Not the crazy people them there. All you fun.
And we have all the supporting vocals right there. So that just to allow us that when we reach to a point where it's so complex that we actually jumping around parts of the songs where, I mean, we might sing down the song and the artist might say, give me back the verse one day. And we're going right back. And he could have all the support of the back vocals there one time. So that's why we label over there. Now the next thing we want to do is label these. As we got them, is kind of wordy. Now, when you're executing this session or this set with more of them, you would actually want to have like all of your channels visible. You wouldn't necessarily want to have channels this far apart. We have to be scrolling over to see what this is, because yes, you're preparing it, but sometimes you might do a little pre-gaming before a session or a performance, and you might want to just have like a safekeeping where you could read and see where exactly you're at. You really don't want to be scrolling across like that. And when we get to using the controller, you go see a bit more why we would want to avoid doing that. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is go through all of these clips here, and we're gonna try to rename them and then label them to correspond with what is happening over here. Now, at a certain point, some sample text would want to crop down all these clips. Me personally, I leave the clips as full. That allows me that if I have to, let's say, move to a different system with a different version of it, I have in this folder where I keep the files organized, I would have the full file beginning to end, not clips that I have to piece together. Just that sometimes the fade in, fade out, you might end up with a case where you leave that on and then the fade in, fade out kind of sounds a bit more pronounced when you bring it into a next version of the program. But for now, we're going to just label these. As I'm checking through this, I'm realizing I took my warping off, which is wild. So let's just do that and hit that with a warp at 160 because we know that is our tempo. Now we would have done the warping before, but this is because I undid a couple things before I opened back this session. So what we're doing here now is we actually warping them while they're in clip view. This is something you could have done if you check back episode 1 that we would have done at the start of that. But then there was an error that I made, so this is why we end up doing back this. Now, once we warped, what this would allow us to do is...
I don't want peace.
Let's say we want to up it.
I want problems always.
Super K, Mr. Vick, it's a dirty ones who play. Not the crazy people that play on the behave. Not behave, not behave, not behave. Them say to break it down, never break it down. Thinking fail.
But that's just if you need to. In a case like this song, I think live performance is 2 BPM. If I said dB, I apologize, not decibels. BPM, beats per minute, tempo, however I want to refer to that. Yeah, so that's what's happening over here, where we took this 162 back down to 160, which is the original.
I don't want peace.
Right, so,
I want problems always.
let me
Super K, Mr. Vick, it's a dirty ones who play. Not the crazy people that play on the behave. Not behave, not behave. Them say to break it down, never break it down.
And in this case, it's a simple idea of shortening how the names would be. So this is me clicking on the last one, shift and the up button. That allows me to select all the clips here in the drum. And then when we go over down here to the detail view, we would actually have the name of the clips here. But what we could do quickly too, we just hit rename, Control R in my case, and I actually want to change this word drum to DRM, and that would do the change for all of them selected. Magikal, we just also call Magikal Magi for short, so we go also just select all of those, rename. We could use the Control R and we go change the Magikal to Magi. Right, that allows us to now have this just like that, and we could see that. I'm going to do the same changes over here. I already did the shortening where I would have changed that to PRC, pork, rather than the whole percussion. So we do that with the Magi here too. And you already see that we're making a little extra space, and we need all of the real estate that we could get. Now there's another approach where you could take, and it could include these sound effects in this percussion stem, consolidate. That's rather than you having 2, you only have 1. But I really don't like making the commitment of having sound effects in with the percussion. I like to have the option that if we decide we solo in the percussion and the vocals, that could happen as well, because sometimes that just add a little bit of drama, and it allows you the freedom to change your intro, make a different intro for a different performance, rather than committing to just one version of the song, and every time it's performed you hear it the exact same how. I think that gets boring. So for brass, we're just gonna take out the A out of that, And right there, we're already where we need to be, but just for uniformity, we're gonna edit these as well. So all of those is Magi. I'm gonna get these shortened as well. Now we're gonna get this shortened as well. In this case, it's on lead vocals into LD VX, very short, BGV. Don't even need this stem on these, really and truly. Should have just taken out that stem to begin with in the beginning. Now this is also something you could do at the start of your process rather than waiting till this point, but for the workflow that I'm sharing today, that's how we're gonna do it. Let's go again. So we're just taking out stem out of here. Right, so I won't go through that every single channel, but you realize now we have a view where there's nothing to scroll through. Next thing I want to show you quickly now. So this is one song. So we can click in this column over here under the master, and we can insert a scene. Now every row is a scene, and we could just click and drag those to move them around. So that's the new scene we added, and we could drag that one anywhere around. We're gonna drag this one to the top, and then we're gonna use Ctrl D, or I could right click and duplicate, but my shortcut is Ctrl D. You highlight one, it will duplicate one. If you hold down shift and go down and highlight 3, it will duplicate 3. Now what we're gonna build right now is what you call an intro loop and a low. Depending on what the artist asks for, what they want, this could take various forms. So the default one that I would usually do is
I don't want peace.
the intro of the song.
I want problems always.
So
I don't want peace.
we have this.
I want problems
That's
always.
a sample from the
don't-
we don't necessarily need that. So the first option is arranging. Just start with bracket. Now this is where I like to keep the sound effect separated. If you notice, I have the sound effect stem out, but there's one sound effect that is in the drum stem. So you see that? I don't necessarily need that there because that is making my loop not sound totally complete. Right, so this is the first loop I want. We don't need any background vocals, no. And that will just build in the drama, that allows the band to play some extra strings. The drummer could be doing his cymbal rides and keeping that kick going. The bass man could be doing something dramatic with the bass. There's that. If you want to do like a super extended intro now, there is another part of this intro that sounds like it has a brass hit. That would be nice to build the drama and the intro. So we go to
Super K, Mr. Peck, is a dirty man.
and we don't necessarily need any vocals in that, right? So we now have a two-part intro outside of the intro of the song now. So now we're actually building something for performance. So now that intro could sound like right. So now you notice as we have it automated already, it will go a little bit. Now that allows us to see we need one loop to go as long as possible, and then the artist will cue us into it. He wants the quote unquote drama to be that big hand hit. Right, brass, sorry. So now we could keep them separated and just do this. So let's just say that the artist making him on stage and he stumped toe on his steps, and the medics have to make sure he okay, and he might drop, he have to dust off, it goes a little bit. The band could hold this loop, the MC could do an extra long intro over and over, and then when we actually ready we could go to but see there now we have that brass. Realize now that we're missing the function. Now we also want that brass. So what we could do there, we could either copy this here, and we could use this background vocal channel, or we could use this drum channel. Now some mixing engineers at the front of house would fight with me for this, because they'll say, Fresh, you have melody instruments coming down on the percussion channels. I would take a little gamble with that, and you know, I know mixing engineer friends go back to me for encouraging this, but we could put this over here. That's just for now, right? So then we could do a thing like where the intro ends up sounding like. This is really a dramatic version up here of this section here would then turn out to be a dramatic version of what would happen here. Intro ABC. So then we'll have to decide if we want to then go straight to, because technically we have used the music for this.
I don't want beef.
Super K, Mr. Vick is a
So that Super K Mr. Vick cue or the intro from the original track, we could allow the artist to actually use that on the stage to cue us in, and then the full band entry or the full sample entry as the samples playing back most of what this song is will not go until we hit 2. So that means we could be here where the MC is doing all the intros and all of that talking. Magikal could pick up the mic and do his man from Vinci and all this stuff, and then we could go down to. And he could still be doing the drama on this part. He could still be getting all the drama on this part, and then you also want to say, you know, and then you come in with
them say to break it down, break it down. Thinking fake, put it on the ground.
back into that. Just keep that problem, you say keep that drama building. You understand? Call up the flambo man them, call up the leader man them. You understand? Call up the flambo man them. And then you just say we going again, and you might just say, you don't let it go. All right.
Them say to break.
That in a nutshell is the labeling. Building a low intro, something that I could work with, and then once you work out with the artist how you really want to execute this on stage, you have all these options that allows you to actually perform, where yes, it is planned, but you have options if you want to do something different, especially if you read the crowd differently on the actual night of an event. You're not stuck there with the samples set up in a way where you're committed to a specific intro or entry. Because then if we walk out this big drama thing and then we end up with a different feel on the night, he might just decide he wants to get the support in, and this is a song that we just singing as it would be on record, you know. So then we'll just go with the straight.
I don't want peace.
Where all of
I want problems always.
samples are there for his
Super K, Mr. Vick is a
and then also the option we have to cut out.
break it down, break it down.
Background vocals, if you notice. So those are just some of the options that you'd want to have available when you're executing samples like this. So episode 2 a bit shorter. Episode 3 we take a look at the control and executing the same set as we have it set up here using the Akai controller there. So you're gonna get to see some hands-on triggering and how we would jump around that performance. Then gonna try to see if I could actually get an artist to do some on the spot cues and show you guys how we would jump around and do that on stage if, you know, we end up doing stuff not exactly as rehearsed, and why you would want to prepare your set in a certain way to allow you to perform with the artist while they're performing. Don't forget, subscribe below. My name is D Fresh, Sample Tech, all these things. You yeah, Megawatt's production. So see you next time on Ableton is all you need. Yeah. Blessings.